got called up to the show from the beautiful set.
Kind of nice in here.
Of Daily Wager.
Get used to this.
He's Tyler Foljam. That's quite a bit of ankle meat. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Welcome to Bet. Big show for you today. Jeff Passan, MLB Insider, to have some fun on Super Bowl props. It's Thursday, which means the return of the good word, and we've got four games on the NBA schedule tonight.
Yep.
So we've got to pick all four of them. Before we get to anything else, a reminder to check us out on YouTube, ESPN. And let me back it up. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting for all your sports betting needs.
Yeah.
Very cavernous in here today.
It feels like the voices are reverberating off the walls. We're usually in, the basement, very small studio, but all kinds of space to play with. I might get up and do a lap in the middle of that.
Absolutely. You got a lot of room to stretch your legs. A lot of legs. Speaking of which, before we get to Jeff Passan.
This is FCC doesn't regulate, so I can show a little more skin on YouTube and Twitter.
Let's recap last night's DFFS showdown, the daily Foljam Fortenbaugh showdown that we do every Wednesday in the NBA. You, my friend, a little bit of a shaky night. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, listen, I'm actually proud of this lineup because I think it's one of the first lineups in the history of my daily fantasy career where every single player had a snowflake next to his name for being ice cold. Now, you're trying to avoid snowflakes. You want the flames up there.
Right.
But every single player I had a snowflake next to his name, underperforming relative to expectations. So quite literally maybe the worst lineup I've ever made.
I was bouncing around, the kids, dinner, all this. I checked in on the Warriors at one point with our score, and I saw Steph had, 2 points in the first half?
It was bad.
Ooh, that's not good. All right, so we're evened up at 2 through 4 weeks. Starting to hit our stride.
Congratulations.
Happy has learned how to putt, it looks like. Suddenly
now.
It's getting interesting. So join us next Wednesday, and we'll have the next installment for you. Right now, we are going to play a little game called Pick and Prop. We're borrowing from my man's segment here on Daily Wager. And here's how it's going to work. We each have 4 props for you, but we're going to have 4 categories. We're going to have a quarterback prop, an offensive prop, non-quarterback category. We're going to have a defensive prop, an other prop, all this good stuff. We're each going to lay out our case, but we're going to do it to MLB Insider Jeff Passan.
Oh.
Passan's going to take a listen, and he's going to decide which one he likes the most, and we'll see who gets the most right.
I like this.
All right, so let's bring him in. ESPN MLB Insider Jeff Passan, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Jeff, we appreciate the time. Let me start with this. You're aware of the rules. You know how this is all going to shake down.
Yeah, I feel like Bob Barker right now. I don't want to sit here and say the price is wrong and start throwing fists. So you guys better actually come with some good arguments here and sway me as to where I'm going to go with my props this weekend.
We'll see if we can get the yodeler from that game where hey, stop, don't let him fall off the cliff. All right, you're going to start it off. This is the quarterback prop category. Right. Quarterbacks are first.
And I got the Tampa Bay side here, so let's start with a Tom Brady prop, of course. I'm going to go over, Jeff. 301.5 passing yards, minus 115, what you got to lay here. Here's my reasoning why. I think this is the most game script agnostic or game script independent Brady prop. Because if the Chiefs are out ahead, because I think they're going to win this game, then Brady's got to throw to catch up. However, if the Bucs get out ahead of the Chiefs, more than likely, it's because Tom Brady has had a massive game, hooking up with Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, who likely is going to be back helping out the receiving core there. If you go back to the last time these two teams played in the regular season, Brady, in chase mode, threw for 345 yards, easily eclipsing this threshold. So my Brady Bucs prop over 301.5 passing yards.
All right, Jeff. Now let's give you something that'll actually win to put you in a position where you can be successful. Patrick Mahomes over 40.5 passing attempts. Attempts, not completions, 40.5. He averaged 39 passing attempts on the season, so we're not asking him to do a whole lot more than he did on a week-to-week basis. In addition, when he met the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in Week 12, he threw the ball 49 times despite a 20-7 lead at the half. So even when he's playing from in front, he's still throwing the ball against this Buccaneers team. Why? That's the big question. Tampa Bay #1 in the NFL in opponent yards per rushing attempt at 3.7. This is a stellar run defense. So the best way for Mahomes, the $500 million man, and the Chiefs to win, to avoid the rush almost entirely, and to throw the football. Those are your two options for Category 1. Which one do you want to side with?
Not just that, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire being back and being the pass catcher that he is. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes here. This is going to be the pass-heaviest Super Bowl of all time. I think both of these, honestly, are going to cash. But in the end, I dig Juan Thornhill in the defensive backfield for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's going to get a pick. And Tom Brady's going to be afraid to throw down the middle. And because of that, I am going Mahomes all the way here.
Smart.
Well,
Made that pick because he is smart.
No, we learned that Jeff lives in Kansas City and has a 13-year-old that is a massive Mahomes and Chiefs fan,
Yes.
so he just wants the house to be in accord. That's why he picked Mahomes there. I was up against it from the start there. All right, let's go with the other Buccaneers offensive prop bet. And I'm going to go to Leonard Fournette. Over 3.5 receptions for big playoff Lenny. Got to lay 120 for this. Why? Well, he's had 4 or more receptions in all 3 playoff games he has played this season. He has 14 total playoff receptions on 17 targets. And we know, again, he is the only guy who really has the trust at the running back position of Tom Brady to catch the rock. Ronald Jones doesn't run routes, and everyone else has been exiled to the doghouse. It's either playoff Lenny going out and making some catches, or it's no one else. So I like over 3.5. Again, probably in chase mode, some dump-offs from Tom Brady. Let's go with over 3.5 for Lenny Fournette.
I am going to go to Mecole Hardman. Not exactly the most prominent member of the Kansas City Chiefs, but in this situation, we're going to play the over 26.5 receiving yards. You clearly, Jeff, know I like Mahomes to throw the ball quite a bit in this game, and all props are indicating that he should roll up a ton of yardage. But here's the kicker to all this. Not only did Hardman average well above this during the regular season at 35 yards per game, but after what Tyreek Hill did to the Buccaneers defense back in Week 12, 15 targets, 13 receptions, 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensive coordinator Todd Bowles and the rest of that unit are going to be focused on limiting Hill. It's going to open up the opportunities for everybody else. Now, Travis Kelce's a big focal point, but we're not asking for a lot. We're just asking for 27 receiving yards for Mecole Hardman. So we present it to you in the offensive player, non-quarterback prop category. Which direction are you going?
Gotta say it, boys. Kind of hate both of these. If you gave me Mecole Hardman 27 rushing yards, might be on board with that. And here's the thing. Hardman can get you those 27 with just one hit. So if I'm leaning one way, I'm probably going in the direction of Hardman. Please stop trying to sell me Leonard Fournette like he's James White, by the way. Like, come on. Leonard Fournette's a battering, bruising guy. If we're talking like soft hands, no. I'm going to stay away from this one, guys.
All right. Category number 3, we're moving to the defensive props. Pick the best defensive prop. Let's sell it.
Certainly, I can sell you on Devin White. If you haven't noticed, he's a heat-seeking missile on defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm going to go over 10.5 tackles plus assists for Devin White, and you're getting a good return on investment at plus 115 here for a guy who has 11 total tackles and 15 total tackles in the 2 playoff games he's played this season. 12 tackles in the matchup with KC in the regular season, and he's a guy who has the speed sideline to sideline, whether they run the ball, which they likely won't do, but probably going to be someone who's covering Travis Kelce. And even if Kelce's catching the ball 15 yards down the field, White's likely the one who's going to tackle him. So it doesn't matter where it happens on the field. He's just got to be there, and he's the best tackler on the team. Over 10.5 against the Chiefs. I like that. At plus value, plus 115.
To quote the Real Housewives of New Jersey, that pick is garbage. It's garbage. And don't ask me how I know that. We don't have enough time to get into all the mechanisms of my nightlife. Why bet the over on 10.5 tackles when you could bet the over on 4.5 tackles with the Honey Badger, TYRANN Mathieu? Now, he averaged about 4 tackles per game during the season, but he had a bunch when these two got together back in Week 12. 5. Not exactly a bunch, but enough for the over. Woo. The key here is the game script. I see Tampa Bay playing from behind in this matchup, especially in the second half. That means more throwing for Tom Brady, which is a case my colleague made earlier. If he's going to be throwing more, that means more completed passes into the secondary. That means more opportunity for TYRANN Mathieu to roll up tackles. So, Jeff, do you want to play over on 10.5 tackles, spend your whole day watching Devin White, or only check in on the Honey Badger for 5 tackles in the 4th quarter?
Gotta be honest, not a Real Housewives guy, so I do not think that pick is garbage, actually. And I look at Devin White, and under normal circumstances, if, say, Eric Fisher's healthy, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to take a lot more downfield shots. But when you have Jason Pierre-Paul on one side going after you, Shaq Barrett on the other side, I think the Chiefs are going to be doing a lot of quick passing, a lot of quick slants. You're going to see Byron Pringle in there, Tyreek Hill in there. It's going to be right in Devin White's wheelhouse, and I think he is a solid bet to go over 10.5. Further, if they are passing and the Chiefs are in the nickel or dime, there's a chance that TYRANN Mathieu is going to be playing one-on-one coverage against guys. Not the greatest way to get tackles, especially if you expect Tom Brady to be throwing the ball a lot in the second half.
That's a courtesy pick.
No,
he had already gone with
he
me
likes
twice.
the
It's
plus
courtesy
value
pick.
on the better tackler between the two. As good as Honey Badger is, he's no Devin White. All right, now another bet. We can go anywhere with this.
Best of the rest.
And I'm going to go with this prop. The Tampa Bay Bucks will be the team that records the first sack in the game. Got to lay 135 for the comeback of $1. You just talked about it. Jeff, you mentioned it. The offensive line is not at full strength for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Eric Fisher is out. And then you look at that defensive front seven, not just Levante David and Devin White, but Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh, and of course Jason Pierre-Paul. They've registered 7 sacks in the postseason, including 5 last week against a Green Bay team that was missing its everything left tackle David Bakhtiari. They got home to Rodgers 5 times, and there's that turf toe injury, an injury that always seems to linger for NFL athletes for Patrick Mahomes. So first sack of the game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 135.
Yeah, that's actually not bad.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I know
Not
that's
bad. I'm going to say good. I'm going to say it's not bad. I've got one for you that you might like a little bit more. First penalty of the game committed by the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we saw this in the NFC Championship game, and quietly, we do see this almost every year in the Super Bowl as of late. The refs want to let these guys play. The last thing anyone wants is a Monday morning after the Super Bowl with all the focus on a bad call, too many flags, taking the fun away from the game. They're going to let them play. That means less offensive holding penalties. That means less defensive holding, defensive pass interference, all that stuff. So what do we want to focus on? You can't let them play when it comes to false starts, right? That stuff has to be called one way or another. Kansas City, 4th most false start penalties this season. Tampa Bay, 23rd when it comes to false start penalties. And for good measure, Kansas City was actually the 4th most penalized team in the NFL this year when Tampa Bay ranked 20th. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it right there for you. Final one, you can pick it up if you want. You can leave it on the ground if you want. It's Kansas City to commit the first penalty.
I don't have stats here on this, but I would be willing to bet that Patrick Mahomes drew the most offsides calls on hard counts of any quarterback in the NFL this year. Seems like he does it every week. So for all the false start issues there, and I understand that the line without Schwartz, without Fisher, Duvernay Tardif gone all season long, it's not quite the Super Bowl winning line that you would expect for a team like Kansas City to have. And because of that, because of those 4 dominant defensive linemen who you talked about with Vea and Pierre-Paul and Barrett and Suh, I'm going with Tampa Bay for the first sack.
It's like a
Jeff
big warm hug.
Would be an incredible politician.
Diplomatic.
I see what he did.
He's diplomatic.
Came in early, he sided with me twice, he built up my confidence, then he shut me down and went with Tyler for the final 2. 2-2. Hassan, that was awesome, man. Thanks so much for coming on. We are hoping that when baseball season rolls around and we can start talking about some of those previous picks right after the Super Bowl, we can recap all this with you if you don't mind.
Joe, I'm looking forward to you having better arguments next time. It's going to be great.
Boom, roasted.
Jeff Bastin, MLB Insider for ESPN, kind enough to join us here on Bet. You want to pick some NBA games?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Game number 1, the Houston Rockets are laying 5, total of 229.5 against the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, I got Dame Lillard player prop here is what I want to focus on.
We can be back on the same team now, too, by the way.
Yes, we can.
We can agree with each other. We can support each other.
Jeff, again, very diplomatic. He knows we now like him equally. So, you're not a Jeff hater. I'm not a Jeff hater. We both love him equally. Just
That's
like
for
we
you,
coming in.
because I love you.
Well,
I don't agree with you on passing, though.
This is
He's
for
not coming
you
back on.
for kicking my you-know-what in DFFS. Dame Lillard over 32.5 points. Why? CJ McCollum out, Yusuf Nurkic out. He is the entire offense. Terry Stotts will play him 38 to 40 minutes. He'll take 20, 25, maybe 30 field goal attempts. It is just all about the Dame show when these guys are out. And this Houston team plays at a quick pace, 8th in the NBA in pace. That's good for someone like Dame, who's a gunner.
I'm laying the 5 with the Rockets here. I don't like it as much as I did this morning because it continues to tick up, but I'm still going to play Houston in this situation. Two teams trending in very different directions. You talk about Lillard's usage rate being up. Well, Nurkic is out, and so is McCollum, obviously. So this is a depleted team that ranks 29th in defensive rating. This is one of the worst defenses in the NBA. Conversely, take a look at what Houston has been doing as of late. They're starting to gel in the post-James Harden era. They've won 3 straight. They've covered 3 straight. They've won those games by an average of 15 points per game, and they play defense. 6th in defensive rating this year. I will lay the 5 with the Houston Rockets. Game number 2. It's the Lakers of Los Angeles laying 6.5, total of 213 against the Detroit Pistons. Now, Anthony Davis out for this game tonight.
Yeah, and that worries me a little bit with my best bet on this particular game because I had the team total of the Pistons under. And, of course, Anthony Davis is the defensive anchor for the team with the best defensive rating in the NBA. I still think, though, coming off that loss against Philadelphia, LeBron James and this team will be focused, and they still have a good enough team discipline, team scheme, and team concept of defense to hold a Detroit team that really only has Jeremy Grant as an offensive weapon, under the team total. Blake Griffin is a shell of his former self. There's no more Andre Drummond there. Derrick Rose only plays 20, 25 minutes a game. So the Lakers coming off that matchup with their number 1 rated defense against a offense that is 22nd in offensive efficiency and plays at the 23rd slowest pace, I'll still go under 102.5 for the team total for the Pistons.
I don't like betting Pistons games, you know.
Yes, that's high on your list of stay away.
They were up 17 with 7 minutes to play against the Hawks, and they blew it, and I swore them off completely, which means I can only bet against them or I can't bet the game at all. And given that the show is called Bet and I'm in a casino, I will be going downstairs and I will be betting somewhat reluctantly on the Lakers minus 3.5 in the first half. Lakers are one of the best first half teams in the NBA this season. They're top 5 in first half scoring, top 5 in first half scoring defense. Conversely, that is one of the places where Detroit has struggled. 19th or worse in first half scoring and first half scoring defense. But it's the angle here of the loss to Philadelphia last night that I'm intrigued by the most. The Lakers, even though Anthony Davis is out, have bounced back extraordinarily well off losses this season. 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread, winning those games by about 11 points per game. I don't love it because Davis is out, and these Pistons, they're going to be the bane of my existence this year.
Feisty bunch.
Reluctantly lay the 3.5 on the Lakers in the first half. Game number 3, the Miami Heat laying 5, total of 213.5. They are set to host the Los Angeles Clippers.
Again, I'm going to stay away from a side or a total here and focus on a prop because I think we can narrow down how usage production is going to be on the Clippers side with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Pat Beverly out yet again. So Reggie Jackson, in the last game they played 2 days ago against Atlanta, played 39 minutes, had 20 points, 7 rebounds, or 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. He had 9 assists in those 39 minutes. His prop for this game, as you see on the screen right there, 5.5 assists. You got to lay 120, but I still think that is too low for a guy who should play again 36, 38, 39 minutes. The matchup is difficult, especially if guys like Hero or Jimmy Butler come back. However, there's just too much opportunity and too much narrowed, kind of concentration of usage for this team with those other 3 being out. He'll be on the floor. He'll be running point. He'll have the ball in his hands, be distributing over 5.5 for Reggie Jackson.
You laid that out for me earlier today on Daily Wager, I believe, as well. I love that bet. I made it during the break, actually, believe it. It was such a great selling point. No lie. Love that bet tonight. So I'm on that one as well with you. I will play the under in this game, which is sitting at about 213 at the moment. Was 213.5. It's come down. I do not trust the Clippers at all on offense without Kawhi, without Paul George, without Patrick Beverly. Now, you can say the same thing about their defense, but we saw them the other night with this unit, or lack thereof, against Atlanta. They only scored 99 points. Like, they really struggled to put points up against Atlanta. And you're going against the Miami team that plays a little bit better defense than Atlanta, that tends to slow the game down, and the Clippers aren't exactly flying up and down the court at all either. I think you miss a lot of key scoring components out there. It's going to be more of a struggle on both sides to put points up, all the injuries and COVID issues notwithstanding. And then at the same time, defensively, it's enough. 213, this feels more like a Knicks game to me tonight. Like Knicks-Cavs, maybe 100-98. So I'm going with the under. Game number 4, the Phoenix Suns laying 1.5, total of 219.5 against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors.
Suns have been struggling lately, as you can see there. Devin Booker, it's confirmed, will be out again on Thursday, and that's a big reason why they've been struggling, missing their best player. But Preston Johnson pointed out he still thinks this is a buy low spot on the Suns. I don't think the Warriors are that good. Now, they're coming off back-to-back wins against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it's the Minnesota Timberwolves who may be the worst team in the Western Conference, maybe all of the NBA when Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are out. The Suns, I think, will be motivated after their tough loss against OKC. You should get another full allotment of minutes from Chris Paul, who will be the second best player on the floor, I guess, behind Steph Curry. So even without
take your time out there, Chris.
I do think it is a buy low spot on the Suns, who are just a better team to me than the Golden State Warriors.
Warriors playing their third game in 4 nights.
Good
Both
point.
are on back-to-backs, but the Warriors are 3 and 4 nights, and they had to travel for this game as well. I agree with you on the Suns. I'm also going to play the under here, which is at 219.5. It was the best bet on Daily Wager for me just over an hour ago. You look at Phoenix, this is the second highest total they've had in their last 11 games. And it begs the question, why? They're a top 10 team in terms of points allowed, top 10 team in terms of defensive rating, and they're 29th in pace, thanks largely to Chris Paul.
Right.
Very methodical, bringing the ball up the court, setting up the offense, taking their time. Now, the Warriors are third in pace, but again, third game in 4 nights. So do we expect them to be flying up and down the court? Most will point as a counter to this, as the Warrior defense is where the Phoenix Suns would get their points and what would worry you. True, they were dead last at the beginning of the season in defensive rating, but they've improved. They're 18th in defensive rating now. They're getting a little bit better. 219.5 feels lofty.
Yep.
I'm going to play the under. All right. Thursday. The good word is what we like to call the segment. We've got 4 statements we're going to read out, and we're going to give you the first word that comes to mind, appropriate words.
Mm-hmm. I always play by the rules.
Looking at anybody.
I always play by the rules.
Appropriate. Number 1.
Okay.
Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill is plus 333 to score 2 or more touchdowns in Super Bowl 55.
This word.
GameStop?
Are you an X-Men fan?
Gambit.
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 As in, Tyreek Hill is the gambit for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes that will garner all the attention of Todd Bowles and that defense after what he did during the regular season when he caught 3 touchdown passes, 13 catches, and went for 280 yards, I believe, against this very same Buccaneers defense. He is going to be the gambit, much like this bet is the gambit for books against the much more likely player to score 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs, tight end Travis Kelce. That's the guy you want to be betting at plus 333 to score 2 touchdowns, the exact same price as Tyreek Hill. It is more likely, in my estimation, given what happened last game, that all the focus goes on Tyreek Hill, and there's nice, soft, cushy zones for 87 to just soak up all those passes from Patrick Mahomes. That's why I say gambit. Don't look at Tyreek. 87 Travis Kelce.
I like the logic. I'm going to go somewhere similar, but a much different word.
Sometimes you
Don't panic.
Sometimes you like to go to other languages. Oh, so Winston Churchill is being?
Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, who famously said, the former British Prime Minister that is, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Ah, yes.
I find it hard to believe that a good defense like Tampa with a great defensive coordinator like Todd Bowles is going to allow Tyreek Hill to come anywhere close to doing what he did in that last game. 15 targets, 13 receptions, over 200 receiving yards. So much of it was done in the first half. You're not stopping Tyreek Hill. Let's be very clear about that. You are not going to have a game plan that stops this guy, but you are not going to see, 2 or more touchdowns in this game? Maybe, but not at plus 333. You give me 5, 6 to 1, I'm intrigued.
Talking.
You give me 333, I'm passing. Winston Churchill. One of the heroes of World War II.
Fulton, Missouri, one time. Winston Churchill did. Fulton, Missouri, one of the
What was he
claims
doing
to fame
there?
From mid-Missouri. Fulton, Missouri.
All right. The good word number 2. Rafa Nadal. You may have heard of him. 5-1 to win the Australian Open, which is the second best odds behind Novak Djokovic.
I'm told you are providing the good word first as it pertains to this particular statement on Rafa. At 5-1 to win the Aussie down under. That is.
I'm playing close to Gambit.
Gamble.
But I am going to go with Gamble. No. I saw on the rundown that we had similar, and I was like, look at us. Mind melding. 72 overseas players for this event have been in what's called a hard quarantine. hard quarantine, in their hotel rooms, not allowed to leave. Djokovic, the most famous one, the pictures of him being out on his balcony, requesting fancy exercise equipment. This is going to be an Australian Open or tennis tournament unlike any other that we've seen. Why would you want to play a favorite or a second favorite when you can gamble? 5-1 for a guy who may have been in his hotel room for 2 weeks not working out? I think there's opportunity here. So in this situation, the word is gamble. Take a gamble when it comes to the Australian Open. Mid shots, maybe some long shots.
That was very, very creative, that word that you just came up with there.
Very nice.
Mine also kind of creative. It's muddy. It's
That's
muddy.
a you?
As in, this seems like a muddy bet, one that's going to be difficult to wade through because it's not on clay.
Mud.
It's not on mud, where Rafa dominates. That's really, at this point in his career, the only surface that he's going to win on. The only time that Nadal won down under at the Aussie Open was 2009, 12 years ago, brother Fortenbaugh. 12 years ago, 2009 was the last time, the only time he won at the Aussie Open. So this is a muddy bet for me, putting 5-1 short odds on Rafa Nadal. Put it on Joker or put it on the field. This bet, 5-1, muddy.
For all of our friends in France, I'd like to be very clear. He's the one that equated clay to mud. I think clay is a lovely surface. I enjoyed the movie Ghost, especially the scene where Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore are making fine pottery out of clay. Huge clay fan.
And they're not just making pottery, they're making love.
Moving along. Patrick Reed, plus 110 to finish in the top 20 at the Farmers Insurance Open, which is taking place right now at Torrey Pines in La Jolla, California.
Okay, so I hope
Easy now, by the way.
I hope you get the reference here when it comes to Patrick Reed, but this price on Patrick Reed is a steal.
Yeah.
It's, of course, a word that is synonymous with Reed's collegiate pass. If you don't know, look it up. That's the Google machine. But this bet does seem like a steal to me, given the current Patrick Reed, who is a pro and a very good one at this price at plus 115 to just go top 20. The last 3 times he's played this event, 2019, finished 6th. 2018, finished 13th. 2017 just missed out on a top 20 at 23. I think he had 7 birdies so far today and is like way up on the leaderboard, might be leading. So Patrick Reed, and I did this before the round started, a steal at plus 110 inside the top 20.
It is true. He submitted this before the round started, as did I, which means my word is blah. Blah. Now, originally, the analysis coming with blah was going to be, why would you want to play this at plus 110 where you could have some fun with some longer shots? I mean, after all, Reed's made the cut and finished in the top 20 here twice. He's finished outside the top 20 in his other 2 starts. Then we went ahead and did Daily Wager, and we started this show, and we found out Patrick Reed is absolutely tearing apart Torrey Pines. So blah is the analysis. You're not getting anything else other than that. I don't feel confident going against him, finishing in the top 20, considering he's shredding the course right now. Number 4, Alabama.
Patrick Reed, by the way, leads at 8 under.
Right, blah. I'm not betting against that. Blah, that's your analysis. Final one, Alabama basketball. If you don't know, now you know. They have been awesome this season. They're perfect 9-0 in SEC play. 14-3 overall, and now 25-1 to win the title. So what would the word be on that? I am going with, and I invented this word.
I don't know if that's legal.
Well, it will be for this show.
Byzantine Empire?
Bazinga. If you ever watched,
not How I Met Your
what's the show with the, I should have written it down.
Big Bang Theory.
There it is. Thank you, Dr. Sheldon Cooper. Bazinga, not Bazinga, Bazinga. It's a hybrid word. Baylor and Gonzaga put together. Bazinga. I've been talking about playing long shots in golf, talking about playing long shots in tennis. You're not going to play long shots when it comes to March Madness. Baylor and Gonzaga. Bayzaga. One of those 2 is winning the tournament. So Alabama's a great story. They're going to make a lot of noise. Betting on them is a good way to go.
You said Bazinga, but you spelled Bayzaga.
Incorrect. I said Buzzinga to set up exactly what was said by Dr. Sheldon Cooper.
Okay.
Bazinga is what I'm going with. Don't listen to Weimer.
I heard.
She's just getting in the way.
I heard too. All right, my word for this is distraction.
Running out of room there at the end.
I was just getting nervous there because that was
Didn't really budget.
that little. Anyways, This team, the Alabama Hoops team, as great as it is, of course, is a distraction for Alabama Crimson Tide fans who are just waiting for the football season to come back around and their national championship team to go on its quest to repeat. So it's also a distraction, this bet on who you really should be placing your money on to win it all at the table, either Baylor or Gonzaga.
Beziga.
Bezaga.
Bezinga. We'll figure it out at some point. That's not the key. The key is to realize that one of those two is going to win the tournament, whether we like it or not. He's Tyler Foljam. It's a whole lot of ankle meat. Enjoy it. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Thank you so much for checking us out. We got called up to the big show. Who knows if this will ever happen again? We might as well enjoy it while we can. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Attention closed captioning personnel. The show you are captioning has concluded. Thank you for your services.